Soy sauce might be the easiest bottle in Australia to fake and the hardest to spot. Two dark bottles sit side by side on a grocery store shelf. One was fermented for months, the other was built in hours. Both say soy sauce, but only one actually behaves like it. And chances are, most Australians are pouring the shortcut version without even knowing it. Fountain soy sauce is what happens when a condiment becomes a commodity. It sells price stability instead of tradition and positions itself as the everyday Australian default. What you're not paying for is time. Rather than slow fermentation of soybeans and wheat, it relies on hydrolysed vegetable proteins to create savory flavor in hours instead of months. The chemistry delivers instant salt and umami without tanks, aging, or microbial development. It tastes functional, salt-forward, dark, and predictable, but the aroma is thin and the sweetness that fermentation builds never arrives. When heated, it doesn't deepen. It simply intensifies salinity. Fountain works because most shoppers equate brown color and salt with authenticity. If the stir-fry darkens and tastes savory, it passes. It's engineered to be good enough, and it sells. Duong plays a smarter marketing game by selling heritage. The dark bottle, the typography, the cultural cues all suggest something traditional, something brewed the old way. It looks like the real thing before you even twist the cap, but the formula is built for impact and not patience. Instead of relying on months of fermentation to develop flavor, it layers hydrolysed vegetable protein with flavor enhancers like 621, 627, and 631 to amplify savouriness instantly. The first hit is loud. It feels powerful. It tastes strong, but it's definitely not complex. In simple dishes like rice and dumplings, the flavor spikes and stalls. There's no warmth or aromatic lift. It works in sugar-heavy takeaway cooking because everything else is shouting. On its own, the shortcut becomes obvious. Duong isn't relying on time. It's relying on amplification. And for shoppers who equate strong with authentic, that strategy works remarkably well. Sunshine Food Service soy sauce doesn't pretend to be artisanal. It's the bulk jug sitting in takeaway kitchens and catering trays across Australia. Its job is simply to perform consistently and at scale while remaining cheap. That design philosophy shapes everything about it. This category of soy sauce is built for shelf life. It's heat stable with aggressive cost control. It's not brewed for months in tanks. It's assembled to deliver salinity and dark color at the lowest possible manufacturing cost per liter. This means the flavor can survive high-volume cooking without separating or changing. Taste it on its own and you'll understand the compromise. It's flat, slightly harsh, and sometimes even faintly metallic. It performs in fried rice because the dish is oily and sweet. But as a dipping sauce, the lack of nuance becomes obvious. The deeper issue isn't deception, it's conditioning. Many Australians associate this industrial flavor with what soy sauce should taste like because takeaway culture trained them that way. When cheap becomes familiar, it becomes correct. And that's how industrial soy becomes the standard. MasterFoods doesn't need to shout authenticity. The red logo has lived in Australian cupboards for decades. That kind of familiarity lowers suspicion instantly. If it's good enough for spices and sauces, people assume it must be good enough for soy sauce. But trust and tradition aren't the same thing. The squeeze and portion control formats make the priority clear: consistency over character. Soy sauce is blended into a broader mix, designed for stable texture and controlled salt levels. This means the taste is identical in every batch. It's engineered to pour the same and taste the same, whether it's in a takeaway packet or a catering tray. That reliability comes at a cost. When heated, it doesn't bloom. When reduced, it doesn't build complexity. It stays flat and steady. Shoppers buy the logo, but what they're getting is predictability, not depth. Tiao Hu takes a quieter approach. A base of real fermented soy is blended with hydrolysed soy protein and coloring to increase volume and cut costs. On the label, that still counts as soy sauce. In reality, the fermented portion becomes diluted. Nothing about the bottle looks wrong. The liquid is dark. It pours convincingly. It stains food the right shade of brown. But use it as a finishing sauce and the gaps show. The aroma is faint. The flavor feels thinner across the tongue. The aftertaste disappears instead of lingering with subtle sweetness and warmth. This is cost engineering disguised as tradition. A small amount of real fermentation is padded out with faster savory inputs to keep the surface flavor intact. And because it's partially real, the compromise is harder to spot. That's exactly why it works. The problem with the previous 5 bottles isn't legality. They meet regulatory definitions. The issue is what they prioritize: speed, cost, and shelf stability over fermentation time. Now let's flip the aisle to brands that actually build soy sauce the slow way, and why the difference is immediate once you taste it. Kikkoman is proof that size doesn't require shortcuts. It's one of the largest soy sauce producers in the world. Even then, its flagship product remains built on the traditional Hangzhou brewing method with soybeans, wheat, salt, water, and months of controlled fermentation. That time is what separates it from the previous bottles. During fermentation, enzymes break proteins into amino acids, while yeasts and bacteria generate alcohols and organic acids. Those secondary compounds create aroma, the toasted, slightly sweet, almost wine-like lift that rises when real soy sauce hits steam. Kikkoman doesn't need flavor enhancers to simulate that effect because fermentation already built it. When reduced in a pan, it thickens naturally. When you use it as a dip, it feels rounded instead of sharp. The salt integrates instead of dominating. If a global corporation can afford to ferment soy sauce properly for months, it proves that shortcuts are a choice, not a necessity. Pearl River Bridge Light Soy Sauce represents classic Chinese fermentation logic. It's designed not just for salinity, but for aromatic brightness that cuts through oil and lifts stir-fries. Unlike darker shortcut sauces that rely heavily on color, a proper light soy focuses on balance and is saltier than Japanese shoyu. The fermentation produces a sharper aromatic edge without becoming metallic or harsh. This is where understanding brewed soy becomes empowering. Within real fermentation-based sauces, flavor profiles differ intentionally. Light soy, dark soy, tamari, each serves a purpose. Pearl River Bridge shows that the depth doesn't come from additives, but from microbial breakdown over time, and that time shows up clearly on the palate. Lee Kum Kee's premium soy sauce lines focus on traditional brewing rather than chemical acceleration. The ingredient list stays simple and allows fermentation to create complexity. Open the bottle, and the difference appears instantly in aroma. There's slight sweetness and a malty undertone that signals proper protein breakdown. That aromatic lift is what shortcut sauces lack. In cooking, this soy sauce integrates into sauces instead of sitting on top of them. Lee Kum Kee demonstrates that supermarket-accessible brands can still maintain brewing standards without sacrificing affordability by relying on time and controlled fermentation. Ayam distinguishes itself by being transparent about fermentation time. Rather than hiding behind vague authenticity language, it openly references natural fermentation. That matters because time is the defining variable. When soybeans and wheat ferment over months, proteins and starches break down gradually. The resulting liquid carries a very subtle sweetness under the salt, along with organic acidity that prevents the flavor from feeling flat. Ayam's profile is softer than many mass-market alternatives. It performs especially well in simple dishes where soy sauce isn't masked by sugar or oil. You taste less harsh salinity, and the sauce feels cohesive rather than constructed. Yamasa represents refined Japanese brewing at scale. Its fermentation produces focused umami with slightly less sweetness than Kikkoman. This makes it especially strong as a finishing soy sauce. The aroma is pronounced yet controlled. There's clarity rather than heaviness. Used for dipping sushi, sashimi, and tofu, it enhances without overwhelming. That restraint is the mark of properly balanced fermentation. This is why when soy sauce is brewed correctly, it doesn't need to be masked by other flavors. It stands on its own. Yamasa shows that two properly fermented sauces can differ meaningfully without relying on additives. The shortcut bottles prioritize speed, cost, and shelf stability, but the brewed bottles prioritize time. One category is assembled while the other is cultivated. Both are legally soy sauce, but only one behaves like fermented food. And once you understand the difference, you stop buying gimmicks simply because they're familiar. If your food has been tasting flat, it may not be your technique. It may be the bottle. Swap one shortcut sauce for a brewed one this week and test it on plain rice and then decide. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and tell us what soy sauce is in your cupboard right now. Let's see which category it falls into.